Hello and welcome. My name is David Buzo. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Independent Advisor Alliance, and I'm very lucky to have our guest today. My guest today is a marketing maestro who hails from the natural state of Arkansas. He's the Director of Marketing at GenWealth, where his job is to make financial content or financial services content as exciting as a Razorbacks touchdown and twice as memorable. Born and raised in the South, he's got the charm of a porch swing and the hustle of a Waffle House on game day. He's a man who believes in clear messaging, bold strategy, and probably has perfected a marketing tactic that you've never even heard of yet. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a man who's made more creative pitches than Nolan Ryan, Sean Shrewsbury. Sean, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you, man. I appreciate the kind words. We are short on Razorback touchdowns in these parts for the last few years. So hopefully we can score a little bit more than a few touchdowns today.
You're a basketball school now that you got Coach Cal.
Well, one would think, but now we're last in the SEC in basketball too. So such is life as a Hog fan. It's one of those things that you're born into and you can't get out of. You don't really have a choice in Arkansas. So, but cut me open and I bleed Razorbacks. So
there you go. Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to have this chat with you. I've done some of these solo, but I really wanted to have a guest in here that has been in that seat of driving marketing forward to get more financial literacy out there to the public. So first question is, why don't you just tell everybody, what is your role at GenWealth? Who's your target market? What do you do?
Yeah, so I'm the Director of Marketing at GenWealth, and our firm's positioned a little differently than most. We actually have an entire marketing team, and I know that that's kind of foreign to some advisor firms. We've got 5 people plus myself on our marketing team, and so our team's job is to take financial concepts and we say put it on a lower shelf. There's a stigma around the financial space that the topics are complex and the people kind of talk over your head, and that's exactly what we don't want to do. We want to break down those barriers to financial topics, and we use creative strategies and videos and all kinds of stuff to help us get our point across.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, if any of you that are watching out there, will watch this whole thing, but definitely check out what they've done on YouTube, their website, and everything. You'll be impressed. So now that we know a little bit about what you've done, what types of content, like video, images, blogging, what have you seen the biggest impact to reach that end investor or client?
Yeah, so earlier you asked, and I forgot to respond to, you asked about our target markets, and we've really got 2. One is your normal financial advisor target market that's 50 plus, that's got assets, looking to retire. And then we also have a younger demographic that we target, and that's really 20 to 40 years old. And so we see a little bit different success with each different target market. So for our older demographic, the Get Ready for the Future show, which is our weekly show that airs on YouTube and Facebook, but then it also airs locally on the radio here in the Arkansas market, that's really been the driver of our marketing success. We've been on the radio for over 15 years. And that really started when the founders of our company, John and Janet, John is an old radio guy, and he grew up being a radio DJ. So that was very natural for him, a natural path for him to take. And then Janet, she is an old teacher. And so she grew up taking complex concepts, breaking them down for people to understand. And so really the magic happened when they both got together and said, I think we can take this message to the public and be able to explain concepts that maybe people don't understand and take questions live on the air. And that, like I said, started about 15 years ago. And then I'd say probably 2019, we started podcasting that out. And then maybe a little bit later, 2020-ish, we moved to a video format of that radio show. And so it kind of just has been an evolution as the show has grown. But we see that really working really well. And then for our younger demographic, we do a lot of short form content. So whether it's YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels, we see a lot of value in that. And then one of our advisors, his name's Scott, he is or was a anchor for one of the local television stations before he became a financial advisor. And so that's kind of our ace in the hole. He's our jack of all trades, and he can do whatever we ask him to do. He's great in front of a camera. And so one of the things that we've created is called the fastest 4 minutes in finance. And it's a weekly email that goes out with a video attached to it. And it's a 4-minute update on what's going on in the market. We had been talking to our clients and really they wanted us to reach out more often with things that were going on in the market and market updates, but they didn't want the normal market update that you could just grab and send from maybe a broker dealer or something like that. They wanted it in common terms and something that applied to them. And so our team works with Scott weekly to create a 4-minute piece of content that just really gives an update on things that they maybe have missed out on in the market, or maybe there's a change coming in legislation that they need to be aware of. And so that's something that has worked really for both demographics, is that fastest 4 minutes in finance.
That's awesome. I'm glad to see you guys out there taking on new digital marketing tactics to get content out in front of people, because I think it's funny that, well, not funny, but I guess ironic that so many people get their education from places like TikTok, where people who are licensed and able to give this advice are not able to be. So the ones that are credible are not able to give that advice out there. So that it's out there. So using YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, anything else like that to get out there. And you mentioned John and Janet, everybody's history. I love John's shirt that says, what is it? Don't make me use my radio voice.
Yes. He is. He's known for wearing that one around the office every once in a while on a Friday.
Yeah, that's a good one. So was it much of a, because I hear advisors saying, like, I want to get into video, or I want to try X tactic to get in new clients, to get in front of a new market, to expand my reach and all that. But then when you lay out a plan of, okay, well, you need to create content, you need to record, you need to edit, and then you need to publish, and then you need to repurpose it, because people might not watch a 25-minute long video. They will only, their attention span might only be 4 minutes. So how did you get from like idea to actually executing and having this regular thing? Like, were John and Janet bought in, or did it take a lot to get that going?
Dude, we've been so fortunate that John and Janet really have been bought in to the idea of content marketing before it was even really a hot button issue. Now you go to a conference or one of the things around the nation where financial advisors gather, and you go to a marketing breakout, they're going to talk about content marketing. But John and Janet really have been pushing that since before it was cool. With the radio show, it's been one of those things that it's been an evolution, I'll say. Like, when we first started the radio show, I've been with GenWealth for over 10 years now. But when we first started the radio show, they were just taking news articles and topical things that were going on and talking about it on the radio show, taking live questions. And that's really where it started, but it's evolved a little bit more into being more topic driven, where we talk about, for example, in February, we're talking about taxes, and we talk about taxes on the radio show. Scott, who I mentioned earlier, we have a relationship with a television studio here where he goes in and records 3-minute segments for them. So he's talking about taxes there. And really what we're trying to do is push a unified message from GenWealth that, hey, if you have tax questions about, how drawing money out of your retirement accounts is going to impact your taxes, or maybe forward-looking tax planning, we're not going to prepare your taxes, but we can help with that forward-looking tax planning. This is your spot to be. And so really, John and Janet kind of drove the bus and saw the importance of it, and then handed it to me and my team and said, okay, let's make this a reality. And so we've been, blessed to have that support from the top down, and really knowing that content marketing takes time. It's one of those things that, like, you can't just put a blog out there and expect it to go viral, or you can't put a video out and expect that, hey, you're going to have 1 million views on this video. We need to be comfortable with small successes and consistency and small growth over time. And so having that belief in us, and really understanding that marketing isn't just a quid pro quo kind of deal, that it takes some time to build up, and the trust that our team is going to do what we say we're going to do, and we're going to ultimately deliver results, is paramount.
Mm-hmm. Don't you love that when your co-founders would come in and go, hey, can you make this go viral?
Right. I will say, though, something that we've adopted on our team is this concept of viral for us. And so, the idea is that, people, like you said, people always want to go viral. 1 million views, 500 million views, whatever. But what we did is we took time and set a baseline of, like, okay, here's our normal performance on a video. And for us, that was about 500 views. And so what we would say is, okay, viral for us is 10x 500 views. And really our goal would be to hit 1 or 2 viral for us posts or videos a quarter. And that's how we knew that we were at least looking at the data, going, okay, this works. How do we lean further into this? And then we're at least striking some sort of chord with the people that are viewing our content, whether that's blog or video or audio. We really try to aim for less big picture viral, but viral for us.
Mm-hmm. And I love that concept. That's really interesting. I've never heard that before. And so it's taking that that ideation to creating the content, and it sounds like you're using that approach of, let's see what kind of questions that people are asking from the radio show or regular interactions with their advisor, and then how do we turn that into content? And then we're getting in front of more people. And that's where I've seen the disconnect with some advisors that I've worked with in the past of, okay, how do I get that to become a client? So what are there different metrics or KPIs or like you're looking at to make sure, like, hey, this is something we should continue down because it's getting new clients? Or how do you connect the dots there?
Yeah, that's a great question, and something that we've honestly haven't been great at until recently. Let me rewind. I don't think we're great at it now. It's one of those things that's an ever evolving target, but I do think that we're better at it now than we have been. I think that you measure what matters, and for our marketing team, we can't control whether someone actually converts to a client, but what we can measure is are qualified prospects coming in the door. And our CRM is Salesforce, and so we've spent a lot of time and effort in the tracking of our marketing and making sure that we can say, okay, this person came in from the radio show, or this person came in as a result of doing XYZ, whether it's advertisements on TV or the fastest 4 minutes in finance. And so there are vanity metrics that honestly do matter, like email subscribers, viewership, followers on Facebook or Instagram followers or whatever. But really what matters at the end of the day is who's coming in the door. And that's something that we've built dashboards around for our marketing team for us to look at and really have that at the top of our mind. And then every year when it's time to look at budget, we're looking at this constantly, but when it's time to make budget decisions, that's something that we really look at is, okay, what was our ROI on this avenue of marketing? Events are expensive. They are naturally, and we've been lucky to partner with some wholesalers that have partnered with us to help offset some of those costs. But, we still see them working. And so while they are expensive, the ROI is there. And so we don't want to give that up. Being on the radio is expensive, but it is constantly and consistently bringing people in the door. And it's a great branding play for us. We've been on the radio on Saturdays and the same slot for over 15 years. So it's one of those things that if you're in your car on a Saturday, it's a little unconventional. The radio station we're on we're really the only sports talk station in Central Arkansas. And so, we've found, and it was just happenstance, but we found that people that listen to the station just leave it on in their car. And so on Saturdays when they're running to Home Depot or whatever, doing their errands, we just happen to be on. And whether it's 5 minutes or 15 minutes, or maybe they listen to the whole show, that little bit of branding goes a long way, especially being consistent in it.
I think you just said the magic word at the end is the consistency. I've seen enough, I was using analogies, and a previous industry I was in was the fitness industry, and it's like, hey, I want to run a 5-minute mile. It's like, well, you struggle to get up the stairs.
Right.
And
exactly.
So it's one step at a time, and then you doing this for a week or a month is not going to have long-term results. So you need to have that consistency and that plan. And so you have a lot of intentionality. There's not, it seems like from the outside, of hey, let's try this. And then you're just going, oh, okay, that worked. You're looking at metrics and things. So when you've looked at things from your content, from it could be traditional marketing, your in-person marketing, your digital, your video, is there been any content surprises that you publish something or you do something, you're like, that got way more than what we thought it would?
Maybe the opposite effect, honestly. I think there's been things that we've tried and just absolutely failed at, and it didn't do anything. And whether that's topic or maybe we didn't promote it the right way, I think our biggest learnings come from failure. And I tell my team all the time that failing is okay as long as we fail forward, as long as we learn from it and move on. And so, whether that be a webinar that we did that was poorly attended, or maybe it was something that we could have done better, that has always been the more learned process, is that, okay, this didn't work, let's not do that again. Or maybe we should do it in a different way. I will say, one of the things that did surprise me that worked actually really well is we, at the beginning of last year, did a radio show around Dave Ramsey. And he's kind of one of those polarizing topics in the industry, whether you love him or you hate him, or maybe you fall somewhere in the middle. We actually really like Dave and really respect the business that he's built. We learn a lot from, his Entree Leadership podcast and that kind of thing. But there are some financial misnomers, if you will, that he kind of puts out there. And so we did a show all about that, and like I said, highly respect the guy, but that really did a lot better than we've ever seen really a radio show do on YouTube. And so whether that's piggybacking on the success of Dave, or whether it's something that we did, that was one of the things that shocked me that's done better than I had imagined.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I love that. We have a similar kind of motto here when you're talking about trying things, is there's no failure. Either we win or we learn.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The key is to not duplicate that learning. So we're learning twice. Let's just keep it to one time. And,
you said earlier about, we were talking about consistency, and someone I heard say that no matter what marketing effort you're doing, whether it's video or podcasting, or even taking an ad out in the local newspaper, as old school as that sounds, if you do it once, you better be ready to do it 100 times. And I really do think that consistency breeds growth. And you and I both have heard the statistic that, it takes someone seeing your brand 7 times before they make a buying decision. And I think that number is only growing with the amount of messaging that's thrown at people on a daily basis, or the amount of advertising, or the amount of really noise that's in the space right now. I think that people are, especially for financial advisors, they want to know that you're going to be there, that you have the willpower to sustain, even though you may not see great success for months. The consistency and being there and showing up really does build like trust and belief in your clients and your prospects.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better. Of just being out there, making sure that people can know, like, and trust you with your content. And actually, that's going to take me to my next question about content. Is you've got your financial education,
Sure.
you've got your Gen Wealth, like the values, the mission, the brand. You've got your client communication, so like market activity. How do you balance all that with your content plan? Like, what does your mix look like?
That's a great question. So, like I said earlier, we have a team of 5 other people other than myself that really help us produce all of that content. And we have great buy-in from our advisor team. It's one of those things that is a core value of ours, is that we are education driven. And so all of the team of our advisors know that we want to educate people, whether that be via video or written word or podcast or whatever it may be. And so our team at the end of each year really kind of sets the tone for the following year's marketing plan. And we try to decide some themes, and we try to put out a loose framework for the next year. And you and I both know that the market could, crash tomorrow, and we've got to scrap that plan, but at least we have something.
Right.
And so what we do is we try to give some guardrails with some room to be topical or do something that has some newsworthiness to it. So our team really does a lot of the prep work. So for any kind of radio show you see, we process the questions, we help write some of the content, but then we have a production call with the people that are going to be on the show. Quick 30-minute call just to make sure that we've got everything squared away and that we've got all of our ducks in a row and all of the facts are right. But it helps to have an advisor look at that stuff just to make sure that we've got, we're not saying anything that's maybe out of line or out of date. And then for written content or blogs, we really do try to take an approach that's like, okay, what's going on in the world that we could talk about and really lean into, whether it's, February tax season's coming up. We don't want to do that in April because we're too late at that point. But if we can start talking about it in February and then maybe hit it again later in the year, it's top of mind and being timely with our content. So at the end of the year, we plan out kind of a loose framework. And then quarterly, we try to put a little bit tighter guardrails on what we're going to talk about. So we do a year-end planning, and then quarterly, we go through and say, okay, what specifics are we going to talk about? And so we've got 2 people on our team that are really great at writing content, and they are kind of the first stab at any kind of content. Now, we do use some AI to help us generate ideas and kind of an overall direction for some blogs or maybe radio shows, but you can't take the human element out of that. If you're going to go and create content and just have ChatGPT or your AI preference write something for you, people can read through that. I think as AI really gets more and more into our normal everyday life, people are going to be able to really tell, this was written by a human or written by AI, or maybe it was written by AI, but then it's got a human touch to it. So we love technology, we love AI, but we also know that there has to be a human touch to it too. So AI is great at, compressing timeframes and generating ideas, but it's not great at putting the finishing touches on things. We train the ChatGPT, we train it, we give it all of our content and stuff, but it still can't be left to its own devices. We've got to do it on our own. So we generate ideas, we gather as a team quarterly to go, okay, what can we do creatively here, or is it time for us to refresh our branding campaign, or whatever the case may be, and then we set target goals throughout the quarter on what we do to make sure that we're on track.
Hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. You're completely right. People can see through it when it comes to like who's generating the content. Either like I mean, a couple years ago it was automated content of there's
Right.
a couple big players out in the space, and you could very easily tell what one was or versus original content. And now we're getting into that AI space, and that was actually going to take me to my next question is when it comes to marketing technology, without giving away all of your trade secrets, how are you guys using AI? You mentioned a little bit for brainstorming, but any other applications you guys have for probably the two most important letters that are in our world right now?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, either you're an advisor using AI or you're an advisor chasing the advisor that's using AI. And so uh, we've leaned fairly heavily into it.
Hmm.
From an advisor perspective, something that we just implemented, we're actually doing a beta group test of it in our advisor team is Jump AI, and it has been revolutionary. I met with an advisor yesterday that she was just beside herself at the amount of time that she saved just not having to copy notes into Salesforce, and
Hmm.
the feedback that you get from the platform of the tone of the meeting, the time amount talking, all of the small details that maybe as a financial advisor you may have missed because you were focused on making sure that um, the numbers are right, or the review is correct, or the pitch for the financial planning um, is correct. It alleviates all of that stuff and lets you be human in the room and really have a, a human connection rather than it being something that you're trying to multitask and make sure that you're doing everything all at once. So Jump AI is great, but from a marketing standpoint, we have just started using a firm called Tiffin AG, and what they've done for us is they took a look at our top clients and said, okay, of your top clients, we're going to go out into the locations in which you have offices and find you a lookalike audience that is likely to be end investors but don't have a relationship at GenWealth. And so what they've done is they've excuse me, they've infused 2,500 new prospects that have never heard of GenWealth into our sales force. And so what we've done is we've created an automated email sequence through Salesforce Marketing Cloud that we are marketing to them on a weekly basis for a set amount of time. And really what we're doing is we're just introducing them to GenWealth, introducing them to the things that we can do for them, but also along the way, like I said earlier, we're education driven. So we're trying to provide content to them that is helpful and useful, not just advertising the firm, but really, have you thought about this strategy? Have you talked to your financial advisor about this? If you have a financial advisor, are they talking to you about your RMDs, or are they talking to you about this tax strategy? If not, that's something that we can help with. But what's cool
Hmm.
is that through Salesforce Marketing Cloud, we write those emails so that it looks like it's coming from their advisor or from an advisor rather than just an info at Get Ready for the Future. It's coming from Chad or Teresa or whomever. And so it looks like a personalized email, one-off email rather than an email marketing campaign. So we're doing that. And then we're also able to take that list and then advertise directly to them through digital marketing from a connected TV standpoint, or whether that's Google Ads, or we're able to upload that list. And so not only are they getting emails, they're also getting branding campaigns from GenWealth too. And we set some parameters so that they're not getting hammered with GenWealth content all the time and then they're frustrated. One of the things that frustrates me the most as a marketer is when I get on to order shoes or whatever, and then for the next 8 weeks I have those shoes following me around literally everywhere. So we didn't want
Hmm.
to overwhelm somebody, but we wanted to make sure that they knew that we were here and that if they had
Right.
something going on in their life, that we could help them. So Tiffin has been a great partner. We've only been working with them for a few months, but they've been great. Jump AI is something that we used, and then our team uses a combination of Chat GPT and Claude. We see that Claude is a little bit better at writing in our tone, but Chat GPT has its pros too. from a content ideation standpoint or brainstorming, it's pretty top tier. So we're doing that. And then what we do for blog content really is we'll take a radio show, maybe something that's older, but is still very relevant, or maybe it's something where numbers have changed or that limits have changed on something. We'll pop it into ChatGPT, have it go, okay, hey, can you write me a blog based off this radio show? And we'll repurpose the content. We'll use it for content repurposing. So we've already written the content once. We're just going to refresh it. And then we'll do, like I said earlier, edits on the back end and make it even more our voice, or more like read like a human. And like I said, I think AI is going to it really already has revolutionized the way that we market. And I think that it will only continue to do that.
Yeah. You hit on so many good points of how AI is really helping. Like, one of the best things that it's done for me, like you mentioned, Jump for a note taker, is that I barely have to use my notebook anymore because I can actually just stay present in a conversation. I'm not worried about writing notes. Like, I could just have my hands up and just have a conversation with somebody and actually be there, instead of being worried about, did I get everything? Did I spell fiduciary right? How do you spell it?
Exactly.
And then from the brainstorming and all that, and I think the biggest takeaway is that there's all this fear of like, oh, is AI going to take away jobs and all that? It's taking those parts of like note taking, brainstorming, content repurposing, and making it so that you can use that creative energy on the writing instead of what am I going to write about? It's actually just helping us streamline, be more efficient, and focus our time in those areas where we want to spend our time. And
you're right.
We can train it. They're going to continue to learn and hear the GenWealth voice and tone and all that. But in the beginning, you're doing that a lot on your own. And I think that sound that we heard was every advisor and every marketing person that's watching this right now taking down everything that you just said of like, I take this and then I do this and then I do this. Because I always hear, what are other people doing that's successful? Like, what's their process? And I think you just walked through yours in a really easy to follow way.
Well, thank you. I hope that it's been, beneficial. And, one of the things that we've been blessed with at GenWealth is we've had other firms that have just been open books, and really we want to help other advisors win. And, anything that we can do to help to do that, I'm glad that we can do it.
Yeah. So my last question for you before we wrap up, because we've been talking about advice, and that's the purpose of creating all of this is to help other people in your shoes, other advisors, of giving any kind of advice. So if there was any a new advisor that joined GenWealth, or you're working with somebody there, is what advice would you give to them?
I would say, from a marketing perspective, you have to do what's natural to you. There's a pressure, I feel like, to go to short form content, do video, do podcasts, do all these things, and be all these things to all these people. Find what's natural for you and be great at it. And then from there, you can then branch out. I think we talked about consistency at the beginning of the podcast, and that's true. But to be consistent, you have to find something that resonates with you. You have to find something that is, I won't say comfortable, because I don't think that most marketing is comfortable for most advisors. I think you have to find something that works for you, that is a little bit outside of your comfort zone, and then just stick with it. I think, especially for an advisor that is, one or two man shop out there that's kind of doing it on their own, that maybe doesn't have a marketing team, you can't do all the things. You can't have a podcast and videos and serve your clients well and make sure the bills get paid and all of that stuff. Find something that works for you, that is works for your target market, and then just hammer it and get better at it, and be ruthless in the practicing, checking yourself, doing it again, and really making sure that you're the best at it that you can be.
I love that advice. Yeah, it's do your research, find who you want to target, where they live. If they're, hey,
Right.
I'm not gonna reach out to my parents as a target market on TikTok.
Right.
um,
Exactly.
so knowing where they live and then just staying with it and not being distracted by that shiny object, that next new thing that's out there. Yeah, that's really great advice. So, Sean, you guys can all find him. We'll put his personal cell phone up on the
Yeah. Yeah.
screen
Yeah.
here.
Just call me, text me. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah. But really connect with them on social. Go check out everything that they're doing at GenWealth. You can see them at getreadyforthefuture.com. Go check out their YouTube page. You can see the radio shows, the videos, the short form, everything that Sean was talking about. But Sean, I cannot thank you enough for doing this. You're the man. I love what you guys are
Absolutely.
doing there. Love watching what you guys are doing. Get a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of jealousy, but a little bit of inspiration there for what you guys are doing. So I
Well, dude,
appreciate it.
thank you for having me. And like I said, hopefully this is beneficial to your audience, and hopefully it helps people win.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for the time, and we'll see you all very soon. Thanks.